glad that you showed up today, because it was a really nice day out, and I was like, oh man, this could be dicey. I thought for sure everyone was going to be out the last minute. Also, there's like another conference that's going on in town, so I thought for sure people might be busy with that. So thank you all for coming. I just want to start off our night by saying thanks to our sponsors, North Sail Software and Microsoft. Both are our full season sponsor, which enables us to, hey, you guys just made it. There's North Sail Software in the house. Yes, Don and Natalie. So big kudos to them and to Microsoft. Without them, we wouldn't have funds to pay for the room or food or drinks or things like that. So big round of kudos to them. And our committee. So I'm Lori Lalonde, for those of you that don't know who I am, and I've been leading this user group for, I'd say, about 7 years now. And then Ken Santarelli is also kind of my co-lead. He runs one of the .NET stream, and I run the Xamarin stream, which is now merged into a mixture of technologies. Dan Wilson is also assistant co-organizer. You see him always running around, setting things up, tearing things down, handing out tickets, keeping things in order. And Arlen Noguera. And so that's the committee. And if you ever have any questions, you have suggestions for meetups that you would like to see us bring, like any topics that you want to see us bring that we haven't brought yet, just message one of us and we'll make it happen. Like, I'm pretty sure Brandon messaged Dan. I don't know why Dan, because like we both work at Microsoft. You could have just emailed me directly. Somehow he messaged Dan. And then this is how we made it happen. So thank you, Brandon, for reaching out, because I was super excited knowing that you flew in from San Francisco to kind of do the tour of the Southwestern Ontario region. For tonight's session, use our usual hashtag for our user group, CTTDNAG, and then also because our topics are related to Azure, Xamarin, IoT, and then blockchain, so if you want to use any of those hashtags as well, that would be awesome. And at the end of the session, please rate the meetup. Let us know how it is, what you thought of it. Leave comments, what you liked, and any recommendations for what we can improve, because that would be awesome. Because we're always using that as an opportunity to make these sessions better for you guys. And like, your feedback matters to me 100%, and we always make it happen. But don't ask for anything crazy, because if you start asking for celebrity speakers, not happening. Okay, this is as celebrity as it gets. Can't afford anything beyond that.
He's almost a celebrity. Kid you not.
So upcoming events. Prairie DevCon is in Winnipeg this year, and it's amazingly not happening in the winter, which is awesome. It's next week. I'll be there. It's June 5th and 6th, and I think registration is still open. So if you want to travel out there and go to a really cool Canadian conference that's not specifically focused on one technology, they are very technology agnostic. There's going to be a wide range of topics there. Definitely worth checking it out, and it's very reasonable. And then our last session of the season is coming up June 13th, and it's our lightning round session. And I already have the agenda posted. We have some awesome speakers, and we're starting at an earlier time, so we have doors opening at 5 o'clock. The first speaker will be up, I think, at 5:30ish, and then we're just going to end at 7:30. So it'll be an early start, early wrap up. If you can't make it right at the start, don't worry. Just join anytime you can. That would be great. I think we have like 5 speakers lined up, and Dan's one of them. Dan's going to talk about stuff, so yeah, it'll be his first time. So, wow. And same with Josh. Josh is also going to be talking, and Josh is new to the KW area, so make friends. All right, without further ado, I will let Brandon take it away for the first part of the session on his talk on Xamarin and IoT.
All right, thanks, Laura. Toronto. I live in San Francisco now, if you can't tell by my haircut, but was born in Rochester, New York, came to Toronto a lot growing up, so it feels good to be back, especially in the summertime. So feel free to welcome me back anytime when it's warm. And so my name is Brandon Minnick. I'm a developer advocate for Microsoft. And you'll see on the bottom of these slides here, we got a link. So jump on your phones now. Let's check out that link, because all the cool things we're going to be going over today are posted there. So the demos we're going to be checking out, they're all open source, all on GitHub, made it just for you guys. They're on that page. If you're new to Azure and you want to try out some of the fun stuff we're doing today, we've got a free $200 credit on that page. Along with that, all my contact info is there. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. If you're a developer, that's literally my job, is to hang out with you guys. So feel free to hit me up anytime. I want to know what's good, what's bad, what do you like, what do you don't like, what can we do better at Microsoft, because ultimately that's how we make the tools better. So, IoT. Now, a smart man once said, in the future, all things will be connected to the internet. Now, that's a lie. He didn't actually say that, but
I'll word it.
Abraham Lincoln's a smart guy. I don't think he was this smart, but it's basically true. If you think about just 10, 20 years ago, all the crazy things you would see in sci-fi movies, all these things that could communicate to each other. We have computers in our pocket now. Everything's connected to the internet. And ultimately, it's making our lives better. Now, we'll throw in the caveat now. I don't jump into security in this talk. Please keep that in mind whenever you're building your IoT solutions. There are bad people in this world, and they will try to hack your stuff. But that's it. So the rest of the day is all fun, happy IoT. And so what's interesting, when we start thinking about where we were, where we came from, I found this drawing online, which is pretty cool. This was the home of tomorrow. Now, you can tell by the drawing, this was something that was made in 1950s, 1960s. But check out how prophetic this has been. Now, I will say with the exception of, looks like this guy's arriving home in his helicopter that landed on the roof, flying cars, a little bit of an aggressive prediction for the future, right? But check this out. We have somebody video chat. We do that all the time now. If you see somebody walking down the road, staring at their phone, talking to it, it's like, yeah, just FaceTime your friend. It's not even weird anymore. We look a little closer, there's people watching TV in the back. Now, I don't know about you, but when I watch TV, I use an Apple TV, which, just like Chromecast, or Roku, any of these set-top boxes, is an IoT, internet-connected device. And it's great. It's made my life so much easier because now I don't have to find stuff to watch. It already knows what shows I like. It lets me know that I missed the season finale of American Idol and I need to watch it, which, go watch it. It was amazing, guys. I'm a big American Idol fan. But keeps me posted. I don't have to ever open up TV Guide. And it also even makes recommendations. So, yeah, I have friends like Monty and I drove over today. He recommended Game of Thrones, which I don't know if I want to devote 100 hours of my life to get into that from episode 0, but maybe someday, Monty. But the Apple TV will show me content that it's pretty sure I like. So I don't even have to watch bad shows anymore and suffer through them for a season or two to go, that was a waste of time. IoT has made my life so much better. And there's a couple other things in here like self-cooking kitchens. I don't think we're really there yet, but if you think about things like Amazon Dash button, right? If I'm running low on cereal, I've got a button in my cupboard, I tap it, same day to 2 days later, depending on how Amazon's feeling, box of Lucky Charms shows up on my doorstep. Didn't have to do anything, because that device is connected to the internet. Somebody's shopping, putting away groceries, same thing. We have tools nowadays that deliver all these services to our door. My wife's big into Stitch Fix. She gets these clothing deliveries. Now, clothes aren't really connected to the internet, but Stitch Fix is. And we get these deliveries, and she doesn't have to go shopping anymore. So basically, our lives are made so much easier by IoT. Now, I have with me, I put it over to the side because it's a little bright, but I brought a Philips Hue light bulb with me. And I'm kind of curious, does anybody here, who here has a Philips Hue bulb? Nobody. Oh, you guys are in for a treat. These things are amazing. So when we talk about IoT making our lives easier, I didn't think it would, but it has. This one light bulb, I can access with, I have an app on my phone here. So Philips Hue app, nothing crazy, but when I tap on it, I can, turn the light off, turn the light on. Okay, kind of cool. But maybe, sun's setting, I want to grab a nice book, curl up, relax for the rest of the night. Make it a little bit more peaceful. maybe I'm having friends over and having a crazy party. We could change it to some crazy color like pink, blue, whatever. And when I first heard about these, they're kind of expensive, right? That bulb is $50. It's connected to this bridge that's sticking out of my laptop here, which is like another $50. So just to get started, I'll get $100. I was like, can it really give me $100 worth of life value, life improvement, right? Where I think it has helped me out the most is this bulb, because it's connected to the internet, because my phone's connected to the internet. I'm a mobile app developer. I bring my phone everywhere. I literally can't live without this. This phone now knows when I come home. I come home, lights turn on. It knows when I leave, lights turn off. It knows when I wake up because it's connected to the alarm app on my phone. So instead of flipping on the lights in the morning, being blinded by all the lights in our room, this light bulb, about 20, 30 minutes before my alarm goes off, starts to kind of just gradually turn on. And I have this nice, wonderful morning. My day starts off on the right foot every time. So, highly recommend them. I don't have one to share today, but if you're on the fence, go get them. They're amazing. But I'm also a developer, right? So I wanted to see, I'm thinking about what else can I do with this? What can I do to make my life even better? And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if every time I got a text message, the light bulb turned on? So I need a volunteer. I need a volunteer to send me a text message. In the back. Go ahead, shoot me a text message. Let me know once it's sent, and let's see what happens.
You know that.
Cool. What'd you get back?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet? How about now?
Smile.
Cool. So actually, let's fool everybody because we all can't see your phone. What did you send to me?
I said hi, and the reply was text sentiment, smiley face. So it's kind of doing sentiment analysis.
That's right. Yeah. So he sends me a text, and I actually replied back with a smiley face because it was a happy text. Did anybody else notice what happened?
Green.
Yeah. The light turned on. So actually, keep your phone out. Well, let's play around a little bit more. So you sent me something happy. Send me something, whatever opposite of happy. Sad, angry. I hate when it snows. This presentation's so boring.
I just texted evil bad.
Evil bad? That's...
Yeah, because that's going to get it. Right?
And what'd you get back?
I got a sad face.
You got a sad face. Did anybody else see anything change? Send it again. Send something even angrier. Or even more angry buzzwords in there.
Okay, this one
I
is...
hate you.
I'm going to die horribly.
You're being too nice.
He's too nice of a guy. That's okay. It's hard to get. Actually, I'll tell you
Hey,
what.
horribly, please.
Yeah, please.
Still sending?
It's sent. I'm just waiting for the reply.
So too kind.
I sent Donald Trump, and it has just like a flat face.
Oh, we're getting darker.
Oh, I got it.
Actually, yeah. Let's all do it. Let's get this light bulb changing. Shoot me an angry text message, or sad. The most un-Canadian text message you can get. And so as you're sending that, you've probably already figured out that, right, I didn't just make it so the light bulb turns on. I did a little bit of work with Azure to do some sentiment analysis on it. So it tells me also, is that text message happy? Is it sad? As we keep hitting, there it goes. Now we're getting angry. And so I've got it actually running on it's a 1 hour average. So if we send 2 happy texts, we've got to send about 4 unhappy texts to get it to the other side. Feel free to play around with this the whole time. This is this is fun. And so what's this look like, right? So what I did was I hooked it up. This is actually a phone number that I got from Twilio. Who here's heard of Twilio? Oh, nice. And anybody use Twilio? Okay, a couple. So if you haven't heard of Twilio, there's a really cool telephony service. They're not Microsoft, not associated with Microsoft by any means, but basically it's like a phone service in the cloud. So you can buy a phone number. Actually, that phone number on the screen there, you'll notice that was a Toronto number. I don't live in Toronto. I bought that on Twilio this morning for $1. Pretty cool. And because it's all in the cloud, you can do really cool stuff with it. You can have that phone number be rerouted somewhere else. You can maybe have it go to voicemail, or in our case, we're using text messages. So I'm actually having Twilio forward my text message to an Azure function. Now, let's see. Who here? Let's start with serverless. Who's heard of serverless? A couple hands, all right. It's kind of a buzzword going on in the community, right? It's one of those words that like means nothing and everything all at the same time. I actually don't like the name because it implies you don't need a server, which how's our code running in the cloud if it's not in a server? So it's kind of a lie. I like to think of it as less server. Because, well, actually, to understand what serverless is, it kind of helps to know what life was like before serverless. So before serverless, we had to spin up a virtual machine in the cloud. That virtual machine has some dedicated processors, dedicated memory, and we're paying for it whether we use it or not. So who knows how much that costs, because it all depends on how much you need, how much you're using. But let's say you pay $80 a month, right? Use it or not. Well, what's cool with serverless is instead of running a server 24/7 that's dedicated to you, your code's now uploaded as a file. So that light bulb's getting darker. Your code's uploaded as a file. It's just kind of sitting idly in the cloud. It's not actually running. It starts running when we trigger it. So, like here we've got an HTTP trigger. So there's a bunch of different triggers that can wake up functions. Things like you could use a database trigger. So somebody saves something to your database, that can wake up a function, and you do something with that data. So in this case, the way Twilio works, it can send a post message, just a REST API post request to my function, and that's what wakes it up. And in that body of the post is obviously the text message. And we're doing our sentiment analysis on there. Now it's using Azure's cognitive services. Let's see, any fans of cognitive services? Really cool tool. So as you notice, you're getting smiley faces back from whatever text you sent to me. I'm not doing anything. I swear, I don't know anything about machine learning. I'm a mobile app developer. I actually joined Microsoft because I used to work at Xamarin, and they acquired us a couple years ago. Madi as well, Xamarin shout out. So what Cognitive Services does, I literally just upload some text, and it tells me if it's happy or sad. And you can do that with anything like photos. You want to figure out, is this photo green? You upload a picture of whatever, and it'll say the background's blue. It can do facial recognition. It can do speaker recognition. Really cool stuff, and it's all just in the cloud. So you don't have to train any models. I didn't have to do any machine learning. It's all just another API. So literally, I just kind of send along the text, and it tells me if it's happy or sad. So what that function does, it sends the text message back to Twilio. That's how you get a text message back on your phone. And then it essentially goes to sleep. Because with functions, we want to keep them short and sweet. Think of it like a method running in the cloud. So we're talking a couple lines of code, and even what's funny to enforce that, I don't know if they did it on purpose or not, but the functions team will actually kill your app if it runs too long. I forget if it's 5 minutes or 15 minutes, but there is a time limit. So if your code's running this crazy while loop and it never breaks, after that time limit hits, this function spins back down. Because these are meant to be very short-lived, do one thing, do it well, get in, get out. I kind of like think of it, it's like a unit test, right? One thing, test it, done. So it does the one thing, it gets the sentiment analysis, sends it back, and then it puts that message onto a queue. And I have this other function, the save text to database function, that is constantly listening. There's no server writing, I'm not getting charged for that. But when something gets added to the queue, it wakes up and it grabs it. So it wakes up, it grabs that text message, or the text message metadata, I should say now, because it's also including that sentiment analysis score, saves it to my database, puts that back on a queue, wakes up the update Philips Hue light bulb color function, and that's eventually what gets us back here. Now, let me show you something real quick, because there's a little bit more to it that I was hiding from you earlier. Let's see what you guys actually sent. Maybe make a little zoom in there. Now keep in mind, we're sending mean text on purpose, I hope. But I don't get anything good. Server connection lost, builder. Huh?
It was smiling. That's the best one.
I like it. So yeah, what I was thinking is, the light bulb's great, right? But, what happens if I'm not at home? I want to know what's going on. Like, my phone starts blowing up. Is my wife mad at me? I don't know. I don't want to read the text messages because I'm on an iPhone, and she'll get the read receipt, and she'll know I've read it and responded. So here we go. And you'll notice the background color of this app also changes in line with the light bulb. So you don't have the light bulb available, or like I said, if you don't have the Philips Hue light bulb at all, you can still download this project from GitHub and load it on your phone, just the Xamarin app. And what I'm doing, let's move this to the side. There we go. Now I can see everything. So what I'm doing is actually using this service called SignalR. Who here has heard of SignalR? This one's kind of, oh wow, okay, that's cool. I hadn't even heard of SignalR before a couple months ago. That's kind of how hidden it is within Microsoft. But SignalR is essentially this real-time messaging service. So in developer speak, it's just this pub sub architecture, publish, subscribe, but what it's doing is sending a real-time update to this phone. So let's see, Mod, you still have your phone out, shoot me a text. And what's cool here is, because on mobile, how do you get updates, right? I could do a pull to refresh. Hey, Mod. Yeah, I could do a pull to refresh, but then I have to refresh it every time I want to see the new updates. I could send a push notification. Actually, who here has done any mobile development, any push notifications? All right, a couple folks, nice. So with the way push notifications work is kind of weird. You don't actually send the notification to the user or to the app or to the device. You send it to Apple. And so you say, hey, Apple, like, I'm the name of this app. So I'll say, I'm TextMood. Here's a push notification to send to this user. And then Apple sends that to your phone. Now, is that good? Is it bad? A little bit of both. Like, it's bad in the sense you don't get it real time. But in terms of mobile, these things don't have infinite battery life. They can't constantly be downloading stuff in the background. And so what Apple and Google do, they kind of batch all those push notifications together and send them to you periodically. So it's better in the long run. But again, if I'm having a conversation with somebody, I wouldn't see that text message in real time. So what I decided to do is hook it up through SignalR. So SignalR, as soon as this gets that message, it sends it out like this broadcast. It says, hey, and updates any device that's been connected to it. So really cool service, and that's how I can get all of that to the phone and the light bulb here. back on. There we go. Cool. So again, here's the link. Feel free to go to that page. That's where all the GitHub or the code is on GitHub. But what I've also brought with me today is these IoT boards. So IoT, we could use it to make our lives better as developers. Think about those little things in your life that just kind of suck that, man, would it be better if something like this existed? And because, you know, Philips Hue, they're kind of top of the line, they're expensive, we're all not going to run out and get one. I worked with a company called SparkFun to bring a couple IoT boards today. We're gonna raffle these off at the end, I think, right, Laura? So stay tuned, stick around. So we've got 3 to give away here. And these are just IoT boards. They were actually made in collaboration with Microsoft, so they're literally made to use Azure, which is pretty cool. And I haven't gotten a chance to play around with them myself, but I do have a teammate. Her name is Susan Hinton. And let's...
She is awesome. If you don't follow her, you need to start following her.
Thank you. Well, not thank you yet. Tell you what, let's break out of slideshow mode. Yeah, Suze is amazing. She's on my team, and she specializes in IoT. So she has a YouTube channel where she puts together all these cool IoT projects. She also does weekly live streaming on Twitch. Anybody use Twitch? Anybody heard of Twitch?
Yes.
Yeah, Twitch is a cool service. It's mostly used by gamers, so people, say you're really into Minecraft, you want to see somebody who's really good at playing it, you can watch them pick up on the cool tips and tricks. But what a lot of developers have started to do is live stream their code. So it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like pair programming. And Suze hosts a Twitch stream every Sunday. So highly encourage you to check Suze out. She is amazing. Her info is also in that link below. But what she did for us today was gave us a little bit of an intro. So I want to share that with you now.
What's up, Internet? I'm Suze Hinton, and in my hands I have one of our Azure Internet of Things starter kits. This one is a really cool one that we did in collaboration with SparkFun. It features one of SparkFun's really cool thing dev boards, and this boasts a Wi-Fi chip, which is the ESP8266. And that means that you can use this board in conjunction with sensors and all sorts of other cool stuff to then connect to the internet and send telemetry. I guess it wouldn't be the Internet of Things without the internet. This kit comes with some pretty neato components such as a temperature and humidity sensor, a photoresistor, which is like a light sensor, and also some LEDs that you can blink to your heart's content. My favorite sensor in this kit is actually the temperature humidity sensor because you only need 3 wires to get started with it, and you can end up reading 2 different sensor values in one, which is really cool. So what can you use this sensor for? Well, right now I'm actually using it to monitor the temperature and the humidity in this very room. This room doesn't have any air conditioning, so in the summer it can get reasonably unbearable to work in here. So what I can do is I can plot the temperature over a period of a few months, and then I can figure out when the most uncomfortable parts of the season are going to be so that I can organize to work from a coffee shop instead. I also use this feature as some fun entertainment on my Twitch stream. Every Sunday I do live coding and I broadcast that on Twitch to viewers who tune in around the world. There is an inverse correlation between my coding ability and how hot the room actually gets to be while I'm coding. So for my viewers' entertainment, I end up putting the temperature and humidity live values in the top corner of my Twitch stream so people can keep up to date with the current situation. This actually also came in handy in the winter. Just this weekend, the radiator started malfunctioning while I was streaming and it got extremely warm in here. I'm just trying to promise.
So it's tough to see, but the temperature is displayed here in Fahrenheit and Celsius.
It's really hot in here. What does the temperature thing say in the corner of my stream right now? I just wanted there.
I'm up here and I can't even read it.
I'm very interested
It's hot.
in how hot it is right now. Because it feels really quiet. Okay. So I hope this has sparked some really cool ideas on what you might be able to do with this Azure Internet of Things starter kit. Thanks for watching and happy hacking.
Awesome.
So she doesn't have her full name posted on Twitter, so can you just let everyone know what her handle is, or put it up on the screen really quick?
Totally.
It's at the link, right?
It is on the link.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wait.
It's Noopcat, but it's Noopkate.
It,
Squirrels.
let's see.
I'm looking for her. Follow her right now.
There she is.
Follow her. Oh, I guess it's Noopcat, yeah. That's what I mean by him.
I think it's Noah. I don't know. I'll have to ask her about it. That's cool. So have you watched Susan's live stream?
I haven't watched her Twitch stream, but I did follow her on Twitter.
Oh, cool.
I wonder where she got that avatar from. That's pretty cool.
I know, right? Need to figure out how she got that. Cool. So let's pause right now. What questions do you guys have about anything we've talked about so far? The light bulb, IoT, the board, how do you win it? I don't even know the answer to that one. Sure.
So that board there, it's like for Azure. What kind of like functions do you get? I know I've got it's a company called Particle. They have a Photon, so they sort of have their own cloud that you can send functions to and stuff like that. So is there like a special set of Azure functions for IoT or capabilities?
So, good question. Yeah, you can basically, you can use any IoT device in Azure. Like obviously, Philips Hue isn't made for it, but it's just kind of meant to easily integrate, so you don't really have to do too much. You'll notice in Azure there's a thing called Azure IoT Hub.
Yeah.
And basically, I think Azure IoT Core is on these. So it's kind of meant for it out of the box, so it kind of saves you a couple steps. And I'll say, if you do have any questions, Suze is your expert. Feel free, if you want to reach out to me, I can connect you and do an intro for you. But yeah, they're really cool boards. Good questions. Another hand?
I have a question that's kind of throw it out there. I thought a coworker of mine, one of his uses of Fuse, he has his whole home apparently outfitted with Fuse now.
Whew.
And he has a geofence set up, so when his wife's phone gets close enough to home, all the lights turn red.
Does she know about that?
Yeah, she does. She's a willing participant.
That's great. Yeah, like I said, that's the cool thing with IoT is there's so many things you can do with them. And so as you're just going through the week and you catch yourself being like, oh man, like this is so dumb. Why does this exist? There's your IoT idea right there. There's your $1 million idea. Because if you can just make somebody's life better, or heck, even make your own life better, that's a win. I like that though. I don't think my wife would appreciate that one though. So I thought I saw another hand on this side.
I have a question for you, Brandon.
Sure.
So you're not using IoT Hub with this because you have the phone that is actually connected to the light bulb, right? It's not using IoT Hub via the phone or via the light bulb or anything.
Yeah, so if we pull up the...
Could you have that thing talk to IoT Hub directly?
Yeah, so just to take a step back, what is Azure IoT Hub? Think of that as, we were talking security earlier, right? Think of that as your secure way to connect devices to the internet and upload data. So in this case, we're doing text messages. We're not really streaming data. But like with these boards, they can stream temperature data. They can stream any kind of data. And so we need an engine that's powerful enough to accumulate all that data, save it, make sure nothing gets lost, and also that's secure. So the short answer to your question, Madi, is yes. Now my workaround with that is, it's actually the phone here that connects to the light bulb. Philips Hue, they do have a remote API. And when I was initially playing around with this, I was trying to get, kind of skip the middleman a little bit and have basically that function talked directly to the light bulb. But the Philips Hue remote API sucks. I spent days trying to figure it out. It's literally so bad. So, everybody made an app that uses Facebook or Twitter. You have to make like a Facebook app or a Twitter app. And essentially, that's just like your API endpoint. Okay, Philips has that. But you have to request it. You have to sign up for it. So even if to get started with Philips Remote API, you have to request a Philips Hue app, and then a day or two later, they send you all of your info so that you can connect to it. It's really janky. I hope it gets better. So I spent a couple days beating my head against that. And I was like, you know what? If this phone is on the same internet connection as the light bulb, I can just talk to them directly. Because actually what's going on here is this Philips Hue bridge is what's connected to the internet. It's kind of why I got this Ethernet cable here. Looks a little janky, but this communicates with the bulb, and this is actually what's online. So the bulb uses the Zigbee protocol. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but kind of like think of like Bluetooth, think of like Wi-Fi, just a communication protocol that they can talk back and forth. And what you do, it's like what the phone's actually doing is sending or hitting this API locally. So I'm just sending essentially posts to the box here. And like I said, I'm a mobile app developer, so it was easier for me. And then plus, I get this sweet app out of it. So if I'm on the road, I don't need to have the light bulb plugged in and see it all the time. All right, so IoT Hub on Azure. It is powerful enough to ingest all that streaming data, aggregate it. You can have it trigger things, so like you can set levels, like maybe we're measuring temperature and maybe we're doing something real, like we're on the factory floor, and if the temperature of this production line gets too hot, bad things happen, so we want to sound an alarm. You can do that with IoT Hub. And it's also secure, so you don't have to necessarily worry about this data being exposed. It's all going over a secure connection too. So yeah, good question. And that's done what I highly recommend for these boards when we're ingesting a lot of data. You don't want somebody, well, what's the worst if somebody hacks that? It probably breaks, but if it hacked the temperature sensor on production lines, that could be bad, right? Good question. What else?
The bulb plays music.
Sorry?
Is the bulb playing music?
I don't think so. Does it?
Just asking.
If it does, I don't know about it. I've only been able to change the color.
So is this a common pattern? I've been seeing some other IoT talks similar to this one, and I always see them going through all these triggers and all these other kind of serverless. Is this like something patterns and practices are putting out, or?
Yeah, so it's, keep in mind serverless, microservices, microarchitecture. It's also kind of a buzzword now. So a lot of some people are doing it just because it's the cool new thing. The reason I like it is it's super cheap. So I have an app in the iOS and Android app stores, and I have about 10 functions powering it in Azure. And the biggest bill I've gotten so far was 12 cents a month. It's basically free. And if you go into that link too, you get that free $200 credit, so you don't have to worry about costs. But what's nice, so yeah, if you're doing something that doesn't need to be always on. So like, do I care if this whole chain takes a couple seconds to update my light bulb? Not really, it's not life or death. If you did need something that was always on, you'd probably want a dedicated API or virtual machine, whatever your choice is. Because keep in mind, because our code's not running 24/7, it's just sitting in a file that when that trigger happens, the function has to spin itself up. So what Azure's actually doing is allocating that virtual machine, running it on the process, and I've seen it take anywhere between 1 to 3 seconds to do that cold start. So if you're cool with 1 to 3 seconds, go for it. Yeah, they're super cheap. So yeah, to answer your question, it kind of depends on what you're doing. Like if you get one of these SparkFun things and you want to stream all this temperature data, and you're streaming it 24/7 because maybe you want to make sure your house doesn't burn down when you're away. Well, I guess if it still burned down, you would just get a text message about it. But, but yeah, if you're streaming data like that, you want something that's always on. Functions aren't made to handle that. But yeah, this architecture is nice because I can take these two offline. Maybe I'm done with this. I'm going to scrap it. I sold the light bulb. I don't have it anymore, but I still want to show off this text message demo. Well, now I still have this closed loop right here that can do it. Or in a real world sense, you need to update something on your back end. I mean, how annoying is it when it doesn't happen too much nowadays, but when you go to a website, it's like down for maintenance between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. You're like, I'm just trying to submit my expense report. Why is this down for maintenance? That shouldn't happen in today's day and age. Well, that's because they have all of their code running on this one server, and they have to literally take the whole thing down to make one little change. Whereas, let's say I want to make a little change here. Well, text messages are still flowing, they're still getting saved to the database, and I can update this without impacting anything. And once it comes back online, boop, updates, everything runs like it was always there. So the benefit of microservices and that microservice architecture is you can kind of pick and choose what you want to take offline, update. The problem is some people went crazy and now they have like 100 different microservices that are all talking to each other, and you have to create this own little communication bus. It can get really nasty really quick. So I think there's a happy medium there. I think that's like, when you're working on something at work, does it need to be in this monolithic backend application? Can we pull it out? Is it something that we update a lot? That now we can just push updates and not affect the rest of the services? Or is it something that just doesn't run a lot? Like, I've seen people use functions, well, actually, I should say, make sure to differentiate serverless from microservice. So microservice could be anything. That could be a VM, just running a little snippet of code. Serverless just means it's not running 24/7. But yeah, I've seen folks that, let's see, use serverless for things like schools. Grading. Grading comes out once a semester, once a quarter, kind of depends on the school. Does it really matter if your grades backend is up and running 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year? No. We only really use it a couple days a year anyway. So things like that we can offload to serverless, and then things that maybe we want to update and maintain a lot, that need a lot of love, and that would take down our whole backend if we had to bring it offline, that would also be good for microservices. So yeah, good question, but also kind of tough to separate the two mentally. Good question. Let's see, another hand?
I was just going to say, the other benefit to this is that you can also scale up a function if there are more requests for that specific function, right? Without having to scale up everything altogether. So
yeah, that's a great point too. So in Azure, and actually any cloud service, you can leverage the fact that Microsoft has billions, if not trillions, of CPUs and horsepower at their whim. And so, yeah, like Monty said, if 17 people hit this function, it's going to spin up 17 functions. You can scale it up, and yeah, if you have this monolithic backend that all has to spin up, well, that's just maybe more resources than you need, maybe more resources than you want to pay for. So yeah, if you have something that's always kind of spinning up, spinning down, that's a good utilization too.
I was wondering if you knew of implementations of this in the real world in IoT, and if you could tell some stories from that experience.
Ooh, actually, Monty, do you have stories?
an IoT with like
real
with
devices
IoT
in the
hub or
field.
real-time system feeds or something like that.
Yeah.
There are some companies like, example, Toyota with their self-driving cars, things that they're doing. They are streaming like, I think it's 8 terabytes of data up through IoT Hub, and They're doing a bunch of analysis on it and machine learning on that to see how well the cars are driving and not probably walls or barriers. I don't know, but there are a few examples of customers, of course, who do use an IoT scenario or like an architecture to stream up data.
Have you seen any smart cities implementations?
Smart city implementations?
Haven't seen that.
But there is another thing that I also wanted to go in the blockchain talk that I'm going to
we'll save it after this.
But
Don't
that
let us do it.
involves IoT and blockchain too. It's kind of a proof of concept. It's not really out there, but there are some companies who have started to do proof of concepts with IoT and blockchain as well.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and there's one other thing you might hear about. There's something called Azure IoT Edge, and essentially what that is it's Azure IoT Hub, but it's bringing more of that logic down to the device. So one of the examples is you have this production line, and if, let's say there's a sensor that if anybody walks into this area that's too close, or maybe their hand gets close, we want the assembly line to shut down. Right? We don't want to chop anybody's hands off. Now, before IoT Edge, that sensor collection data would go up to the cloud. The cloud would then trigger it and come back. And it's pretty close to real time, but we're still talking like 1 to 2 seconds. So you don't want your hand that close to the saw blade for 2 seconds. I don't. So yeah, there's a new thing called Azure IoT Edge that will actually bring that logic down to the device. And so instead of that kind of 2-second round trip time, we can now get it down to maybe 200 milliseconds or 20 milliseconds. So that, yeah, you can get it to turn off right away. And I actually saw a really cool demo recently, kind of all of this mixed together with like this Azure IoT Core running on a drone, and the drone is doing kind of using these machine learning models that we were talking about to detect anomalies in pipelines. So like oil companies making sure that there's no pipes. Before the drone, so you would have to live stream the video, you'd have to get somebody that was close to it. But now the drone can just collect all that data by itself and do whatever it needs to do, or send a message back to alert people, or even just when it's done with its ride, come back and say, hey, this is what I found, instead of saying, hey, here's all the data, you have fun with it. So there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with IoT nowadays. Good question.
Are there any specific Xamarin support for IoT?
What do you mean?
I mean, like APIs or everything. It's you use Azure mainly.
Yeah. So with Xamarin, it's just C#, and pretty much everything that we have in Azure also has a C# SDK to help you get started. And yeah, you just slap that into your Xamarin project, and it just works essentially. Like even right here, I'm using a SignalR SDK in my Xamarin app to do all the communication SignalR. So it's like a couple lines of code, which is really nice. And let's see, I don't want to steal all Madi's time, so we'll close on this thought. Because you mentioned mobile. The world's kind of shifting to this new paradigm. If you've ever listened to the CEO of Microsoft talk, you might have heard him say something like, there's the smart cloud, and then, what's he say? Smart edge, connected edge? Intelligent, there we go. I knew I was using the wrong word. Intelligent cloud, intelligent edge. And essentially what he's getting at is we're moving away from this world where we have desktops that are plugged into the internet, and that's a computer. And we have this IoT board, and this is an IoT device. Essentially, everything that connects to the internet now is considered this intelligent edge. So, yeah, you might not win the IoT board tonight. I mean, feel free to go out and grab one if you want. But your phones, these are all IoT devices. Your laptop, that can be used as an IoT device. And so keep that in mind when you're thinking about what fun project you want to check out and play around with later. So, just so I don't steal all Monty's time, thank you.